Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. My name is Salia Mumtaz Yusuf and I'm your host today at Talk It Out. Today we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Ali Asghar Dossa, and the session is going to be on career counseling, which will actually help students reach their career goals when it comes to their academic journeys as well. Mr. Ali Asghar Dossa is a renowned career development practitioner with over years of experience, mainly in Canada. And we would like to discuss the challenges the students face when it comes to deciding their careers and how they can excel in the future by pursuing and exploring opportunities around them. Welcome to this session,
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you
Ali.
so much, Saleh. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you on board. Mr. Ali, like I just mentioned, you have been in the field for quite some time, and with students, especially in today's generation, it's kind of difficult for them to pursue a career, which is why we have you today in the session to discuss what exactly is the gap that the student face when it comes to finding the right career choice for themselves in this fast-paced world.
Well, the world is so different now than it was when you and I got started. And thank you so much for asking that question. And I'll write to, one of the things that any job seeker or anybody who has a goal towards employment should always focus in on what are the areas where he has already strengths at. Because what I've noticed is that, wherever you want to go, you'll get there. But to get there in an organized, structured manner is where the success is. So one of the things that I do initially whenever I meet with a client is kind of define what are the outcomes, employment outcomes they want. What is the current educational standing? What is the current strength? And उसमें जो gap आता है कि उसको किस तरीके से are we going to address or solve? And during that conversation, of course, there is a lot of rapport development. There's a lot of understanding from my part because each client is different. Each scenario is different. So once we've got started on understanding the client's journey or the employment goals, the next step now is to really find out, what is his readiness to when he gets started. So, a person has a goal to say, work as an architect, right? But is he ready? Is he qualified? Does he have the skills? And of course, that's where, that's where the learning occurs. So the second step, I guess, or the third step you could say, is really assessing the readiness for that particular career and looking at skills like technical skills, soft skills, and all the basket of things that they need to acquire before they can start working as an architect. And so once we started doing that, and of course we are building building on strengths. So foundations are very important, and in today's day and age, mental health and well-being is essential to accomplish anything. Though I like to say that is where we lay the foundation of well-being, of support, because wahi baat hai ki it's a journey, right? So the end result is always in sight, but it's the course of time that takes you to get to A to B. So we do that by many different things, and it is also by instilling holistic practices, meditation, clarity in the client. Giving them that base. And then, people are different. Some people are physically active. They like physical activities. Others like meditation or yoga. So each client has availability of different resources, which are part of the parcel, which are available to them. And along with this, we are looking at what are the new trends coming up, in the new in the market. So say if I'm wanting to become an architect, and that's my goal, there's so much new technology which will come in, which will get to be used while I'm studying. So I have to not only be current, in what's coming and know what's already been here. I have to continuously keep learning and unlearning and relearning. Right, and that becomes one of the life skills, or what you could say, a life skills that all of us use now. I know, I'm sure that in your career as well, there's a lot of learning, obviously, but then unlearning and then relearning something new. And it's almost cyclical cycle which keeps repeating for almost all professions. And for a job seeker, they kind of have to begin to adopt it as a lifestyle. So that is, what we try to do with any client or job seeker. Where are they currently right now? The educational strengths that they have, and then the work experience that they want to have, the employment goals that they want to have, and find a way to bridge the gap in between. So yeah.
Okay. Uh, that's a very perfect answer to the question.
Thank you.
And I would also like to add, a lot of students, when they come to you or me specifically, let's say, I've been teaching for quite some time as well. So the students are not able to address the main issue is what exactly is stopping them from pursuing that particular career or that job or that role in that organization. That's probably because of other reasons and factors too. Like you mentioned, practical skills, theoretical knowledge is again very important, but your personality, your attributes is something that makes you stand out. So, how do you communicate with individuals and how do you want to be perceived? So, there has to be a certain image that you create, and that comes with experience, that comes with exposure, and that is what universities and colleges should really work on. That how do you take that student on personal level and counsel them accordingly in terms of building up their skill set and making sure that those gaps are like identified at the right time again.
Sure. Yeah.
Because
Timely.
like you mentioned, there's no full stop to learning, but then there's a certain time for you to get enrolled yourself in an academic qualification, or whether it's you pursuing your dream job, making sure that you are able to apply for those university applications on time. So again, with the right mindset and skills, with values as well, and your belief system, maybe you'll be able to kickstart your journey.
Sure. And, all of what you said is so essential. I like to just, I think one of the things you said is understanding where one is and the career exploration of where we are right now. So, I'll give you a life. I'll give an example of a timeline or of a life cycle of a client, to gainfully be employed, and maybe that can be a case in point. So really, if you say average, in my experience, it's 6 months is the amount of time it takes for someone to switch careers or to switch jobs at least. That's an average across the board, both Pakistan and internationally. And So if you take those 6 months of when you start looking for work to the time when you start the job, that can be something you can use as an example across the board for many different case scenarios. In my experience, we want to look at the client when he at the start point to gauge their current strengths that they've already got, and that we do in many different ways. So there's a battery of assessments that anyone can take, which kind of looks at the personalities, and then looks at both the abilities, the traits, the core values, and all what make us individuals. And that is a moment of self-awareness, right? And again, the person is starting off his journey. The journey is about to begin. And here it is a good time for the client to really gauge their true strengths, their abilities, what are they already got, and for us as counselors to actually not just validate that, but also record that for us and for the client to refer back to. You can call it the starting point. After this exploration stage or assessment stage, then the client really wants to kind of define what are the trends or the labor market trends happening in the current scenario. So that is very industry specific in most countries. So speaking about the client, say they've done the career exploration completely, and now they know about the labor market, they know what are the trends, and they come up with a service of providing a wallet, say a men's wallet, a designer wallet. uh, being able to provide something over a long duration of time gets you a few things. Of course, generates money, but more importantly, builds experience. And that experience is money in the bank. And that's our goal, long term employment towards a goal, and the whole journey itself,
And a guaranteed revenue for the students.
and and a guaranteed revenue. And what we're describing right now is the building of a career. And again, these are lifelong lessons. So your career never ends, right? Inshallah. And when you keep adding skills, abilities, and experiences within your career, a metaphor I like to use for a career is like, creating a basket of flowers. So every flower, every part of that basket is an addition, to the actual thing. So that's a journey I'm on, and I always work with my clients, to support that as part of what we do.
That's great. So, Mr. Ali, you also mentioned earlier about, the mental health issue, which is kind of now being widely spoken about. Previously, like, when I talk about my teenage years or when I was in school and college, this was something which was kind of put under the table. But now people are coming forward, especially students as well, addressing the fact that mental health does matter. And it's very important for you to address that. And it's very important for you to cope up with the stress when it comes to finding the right place for yourself in the market. Like, it has become very challenging for the students to decide. You have your parents, your guardians who keep telling you that, these are the career paths that you can choose. You can be a doctor or an engineer or lawyer, and then the other things are not so relevant. So the students are kind of stuck in making that choice of what exactly fits when it comes to their personality, when it comes to their skill sets, and what exactly are they capable of. So when it comes to the career development process, it's very important to ask them, what are you exactly passionate about? And this is one thing that I also always ask myself and my students too, that am I passionate about what I'm doing? Is there something that I need to change? What exactly is the recipe for a good life, especially when it comes to the corporate part as well?
So find work that you love so you never have to work another day of your life. This is not only a mantra, but this is my, a belief and mission statement. And with any client, that's the hope. That's a hope for any outcome with any clients, any relationship we're about to build. Right. So to specify your question, okay, what is the recipe for success? Right. It's perseverance and resilience. And to persevere and to be resilient, one needs to be strong. And uske liye you need to focus in on yourself, right? So we talked a little bit about one's cognitive environment, one's cognitive strengths, but your mental health is such a real challenge, and it's no longer a taboo. And shukr alhamdulillah, it's a conversation which is now happening in homes, in people's lives, and really at where it becomes a challenge or where it needs to be addressed. And it's never going to end, because abhi to shuru hai, matlab we're just learning about this area of our lives. So really, a student is also an average student is under so much pressure. And you talked about parents and guardians, and their role has always been to support, but in that supporting function, they often are themselves so pressurized that they pass that on to the student. So imagine a student creating a natural defense to withstand internal pressure, so that they can combat and compete with external pressure being applied in a classroom or in any structured learning environment. And that's an average student's early life, you could say.
And the part where the students struggle also is, you do have a lot of challenges in the external environment around you, whether it's the work environment. They're not equipped fully when it comes to taking that pressure.
Bilkul, bilkul.
So I've had individuals that I've worked with, I've had students as well who are not able to address what's coming forward. So, how do you adjust in that environment? How do you mold yourself in stressful situations as well? So, that is something that should also align with your traits as well,
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
as an individual. So, what I do is usually I like to conduct like small personality trait tests
Sure, okay.
in class as well. And when I'm conducting sessions like that. So it helps them identify their role as a team member. So they're able to identify what kind of personality do they have and what exactly can they bring to the table
Sure.
when it comes to being a team worker, when it comes to being a friend, or when it comes to being someone who is working as well for somebody else, and how you can contribute with your levels of expertise and skills and your personality as well.
Sure. So, you said something something very pertinent about personality assessments. So, one of the things that I did early in my career is, get certified as a personality dimensions facilitator. And that is a psychometric assessment tool. It's a level B instrument. And one of the great things about it is that, it's got very high validity and reliability. So those two are the two things you could say are the gauge of an instrument's, success and its impact. And currently, right now in Asia, I am the only trainers facilitator, a level 2 personality dimensions trainer here in Pakistan and in India. And this is something, obviously, I'm a certified counselor to do this, just begin with, but it also adds a lot of value to the work and to the relationship. And it starts with understanding of, who am I, really from the client's perspective. So I like to say that, no one person is one thing. We are a collection of many different things. And our personality, our traits, our values, these are all, you could say, the soft part of, that thing. The hard part or the concrete part are the skills that you learn, the strengths that you acquire, the abilities that you acquire, things that you can replicate and, you can compete with. So that is what starts to become, you could say, a full picture of a person, I would say. So here again, we go back to exploration, where the client or the career job seeker is actually going to learn about their own personality types, their skills, their abilities, and then they're going to see, okay, what are the additional things they need to add on.
So where exactly do you stand, and where do you want to be
Where do you
or
want to be?
become?
Yeah.
And then what exactly is required for you to fill that gap in.
Yeah, bilkul.
So, and that comes with experience, I
Yeah,
feel.
that's
And,
again, it's
a
a
lot of time,
lifelong thing.
students come and they're like, we applied for a certain job, we couldn't make it through. I don't know what's wrong. Maybe there's something wrong with me. I was like, no, maybe, it was meant for you, or maybe you're not looking at the right place, or maybe, you need to make sure that you're upskilling yourself. So a lot of times students are not able to understand that there might be different challenges in terms of you might have to upskill yourself as well. And you need to be somebody who's multi-talented and multi-skilled enough to make sure that you're able to adjust in the environment, and you're able to cope up with the challenges that you might face in the corporate sector as well.
Very true, very true. And Saleh, very true you said, but not only just one needs to be able to adjust to the corporate environment. That's never going to change because, your the benchmark keeps moving. It's a moving target. So we were talking about how technology has changed, and we talked about, say, a 5 years journey where a person starts, to work as an architect. Whose journey in that duration in those 5 years, say, imagine ChatGPT coming in that first year, as opposed to coming in the fourth year. That has been such a game changer.
I know. So it kind of eliminates the ability of an individual to think on their own.
So,
it's usually about, like it has, again, it's convenience.
Yes.
Again, it's an
yes,
AI
yeah.
tool, which actually eliminates a lot of human effort, if I'm not
wrong.
wrong.
I like to use an example that, you have to employ it. You have to use it, right? And उसमें जो ratio मुझे समझ में आता है is 40 to 60. So you allocate 40% of any work that you want to do to AI and automate that, designate that. The 60% of the work is what you do, right? And that 60% isn't going to be replaced because there has to be a driver of, you may
Yeah.
have the most beautiful Jaguar, but if you don't know someone who can drive it, there's no point. It's just vehicle sitting there.
Yeah. So you using the right prompt
Yeah.
and making sure that you're able to get
And,
exactly what you
and
want.
like somebody who has been an early adapter for most of my life, I always experiment with new technology, and how it serves me to serve my clients, but how it serves me is learning the prompts needed, the tools needed, gaining that knowledge, and then building upon that. So similarly, and I like to model this for my clients as well. The clients can use that learning or that developing that culture of lifelong learning, right? Because I'll show them the example of what that looks like. And I hope that that's inspiration enough for them to to adopt it and then practice, because in the end it's always about the practice and the outcome. Yeah, the outcome. Yeah.
Okay. So once the students are able to understand where they want to be and what exactly is required for them to be in that certain position or role, there could be other issues that they might face. You also mentioned that you are somebody who is an advocate for diversity and inclusivity, and that is one thing that you really stress upon when it comes to your counseling sessions. Exactly.
Absolutely.
So, how do you actually bring that forward when it comes to students one on one?
Sure, sure. So, the phrase I like to use when we're working with diversity is abilities. Working with differently abled people, really. And when I'm fortunate enough to have a student in my classroom who has is differently able, and my role then kind of shifts a little bit, because it's not just teaching; it's actually facilitating the learning. So it's a privilege for any educator to work with someone like that, and for everybody, I would think. So one of the ways that I work with or promote, or as an advocate for diversity, is to, number one, never feel. I'll try to never make somebody feel less valued or even like different. Because you mentioned teamwork, so ek to everyone is contributing to the team, and nobody contributes more than the other. Everybody does their best part, and somebody who is already working as hard as they can, to enter the room, needs to be acknowledged, in my opinion, and encouraged. And that you don't do by singling out someone, but you do that by highlighting their achievements. And that's an ongoing, never stops, because it starts from the moment they enter the door. So as an educator or as a facilitator, I want my students to always feel encouraged towards the goals that they're going forward. And the ones who are differently able be rewarded so they can get reinforced throughout the journey. And I have always found employers welcoming, diversity in so many different ways. And diversity is again a spectrum. It's not just it's visible disabilities, and invisible disabilities is also one thing. And of course, having differently abled people is another. But we haven't talked yet about learning styles, right? ADHD, depression, all of these mental health challenges. Dyslexia, all of these, right? So all of these are asking for support, and they are all differently able people, or contributors of different things. As an educator, I feel, it's my duty to at least present these clients in the best possible light, and to let people see what I see when I see them. And again, I feel very privileged whenever I work with someone that special. So yeah.
I wanted to ask exactly how do you build those strategic relationships with the students when you are counseling them when it comes to their career choices?
So really, it all starts with building rapport. One of the things as I always do is create a welcoming, safe space for students to meet with me and have a conversation. And that's something that's a space which inshallah is always going to be available for us. And to build rapport is really, as a counselor, I want to learn and listen to what the student's main concern is. Why they are here, what is holding them back. And I really want my students to be able to share, freely and openly about what's coming to their mind. And then, almost give me all the things which are bothering them in that first initial meeting. And of course, I am taking notes, I'm recording my information because this is where I'm learning about my student. And also from here only, I'll begin, any kind of counseling work that we can do together.
That's the way forward, and that's how you address
That's how
exactly
I
the main
start,
issue. And then
yeah, that's how I start building the relationship. And
and I
now,
think that should be the utmost priority is to make sure that the students are able to feel safe around you. And again, you should have that approachable mindset as well, which allows students to put their concerns forward. So that first thing is out of the way then. Then comes the part where you actually work on how do you build that thing forward to make them ready for their future careers as well.
so one of the things I do to do that is like give them tools, and one of the tools which are, bread and butter of our trade is a resume. I would say that's basically everybody needs one. So just building a resume is the next step for us. And this is, I want to build something my student can actually take and use to get a job. Because we built a rapport, we have established a safe environment. Now we have to create sustenance or sustain that. And that can happen through us, by creating employment, by creating some revenue for the student. So that first job is very important. It's the first point of success, for most students. So once they have a functional resume that they can, take to an employer, now they get hired for that job. What's now happening is that our relationship is getting solidified by actual outcome. So if I've told my student that inshallah you'll get a job in 6 months time where you'll be happy and you'll be on your career path, I have started to prove what I'm doing with results. And that's again building our relationship and strengthening it, building trust right here. The employer is also somebody I always want to know, because if I've sent a student to an employer, I want to know how the employer, how satisfied is the employment by the work, by the employer, and evaluation I need to have, a picture from there. And that's when I get to meet with the employer, understand the employer, again in the support of my student. This is where I'm actually building a strategic relationship now with the employer. And my goal is always for future students, right? So I would say that's the whole circle that I wish to do or complete with most clients. Starting from their goal setting, their abilities, building the rapport, creating safety, developing tools like the resume, interview skills, LinkedIn, and then FaceTime, interview time with an employer, and then actual work
To bring their vision forward, yeah.
to bring their vision forward. Yes.
That's great. Okay, last but not the least, Mr. Ali, I would just like you to give like a small piece of advice for students and our younger generation, that what exactly is the toolkit that is required for them to opt for those promising careers that can actually benefit them in their careers later on as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'll go back to the old mantra: find work that you love, so you never have to work another day of your life. And it's a lot easier said than done. If you'd agree. And one of the things that will do when you find the work that you love is you'll find your passion. And after that is just finding the tools to complete and fulfill your passion.
And I think alongside that comes a lot of commitment and dedication from your end that you're willing to go forward. So that willingness to get to your goal with that vision is very important, I feel.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Mr. Ali, for coming over. And it was indeed a very insightful session for the students. Thank you. Take care. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you. Allah Hafiz.